all about Ludwig. And this presentation is different to the presentation we just had about Walter. There's a lot of things to say, but I will shorten it to half an hour. But the most exciting thing is his journey around the world. 3 years around the world, from Hamburg to Penang, to Singapore, to Hong Kong, to Beijing, to the Great Wall, to Yokohama, to Tokyo, again back to China, then to Vancouver, taking the brand new Trans-Canadian Railway, going all the way to Minnesota, to Chicago, and up in New York. So we had the links with Palermo, now we have the link to New York. And at this time, no, once back, and this, no, eins wieder vor. Yeah, so I will take you, like the time tunnel, I take you back 130 years and I invite you for a journey around the world. So the world has changed. Here you see a city which is for Ruth and Lisa and me very familiar. We stayed 2.5 years in Singapore. So if you travel today to Singapore, it looks like this. I'm pretty sure even today a new skyscraper was finished or open. So every year a lot of change. And this was Singapore and the Singapore River and the famous bridge where the Formula One race court is now, here over this bridge. This is a post building there, Fullerton Hotel today. And this was the situation when he was there. Today, the Singapore Chinese are best dressed, the bankers. Ludwig describes in his books that the Chinese people were so poor that they even don't have a shirt. So they were naked, but they had a trouser to unload the ships. And he described the hotels he was, and the hotels today even exist. So it's a journey around the world. Next slide. Today you can buy this journey for 56,000 euros in Germany. It's 8 months and you can travel around. It took him with a steam sailboat. It was not only a steamboat, but it's a steam sailing boat. So it was a combination of sail and steamboat. 3 months from Hamburg to Hong Kong. So it was a slow motion journey and he had a lot of time. So he wrote letters on the ship. So when the sea was flat, it was easy writing with ink. If the sea was like this, he used Bleistift. He used a pencil. So, and on these ships at this time, it was luxury. Yeah? He described every of the 20 other passengers on the ship. And there was a piano of most of the ships. And he played piano for the entertainment of the ladies on the ship. So this was Ludwig. And next slide, please. And the journey, took place in 1895. So 1895, he left Hamburg. And he left Anna and the 3 kids in Germany. And he said bye-bye for 3 years. So and one son, the third son, even came on Earth, Walter, when he was already on the sea. So Anna gave birth to a child when he was overseas. He was already 40 years old when he did this job. He was first, when he came back from Glasgow, the first engineer it's a ranking. The first engineer in the Howaldwerke. The Germans know Howaldwerke, so he was the first engineer in the Howaldwerke in Rostock, glaube ich, war das, also irgendwo im Osten. Then he moved back to Tönning, and he built up he was naval engineer, and he built up his first own shipyard. And this shipyard, today there is just a coffee shop, Klaus, no? In Tönning. He built up his own factory. It was the Eiderwerfte. It was a factory which produced other things, and the ship industry in Germany grew and grew. It was dominated by English shipyards, but in Germany it grew. So I think he was not successful with this shipyard in Tönning, Eiderstedt. So he got a job from two people who also studied in Glasgow, and the name of these people, the Hamburg people knows, was Mr. Blom and Mr. Voss. So I'm pretty sure he met them in Glasgow, because they all studied in Glasgow. So Mr. Blom and Voss, today it's one of the biggest shipyards in Hamburg at least, and if you're in Hamburg you see Blom and Voss everywhere. They asked him to go to China and to Japan to sell warships. So not tiny sailing boats, but warships, huge warships. I will show you this. And if you want to sell warships, you have to have a highest connection to the minister of the Chinese emperor if you want to get in contact. And as a salesman, as he was, or representative, you have to find a strategy how to get in contact with this. Most of the Germans, he described precisely, and he disliked the Germans for this, were in the German club. All over the world you have German clubs, so you live in your community, and this community was in Yokohama. His first decision was not to settle in Yokohama, but in Tokyo. The second decision is he employed a man, Mr. Kumar Gai. He was his language speaker. So he learned the language. So if you want to get in business contact, it's even today worthwhile to speak the language. So Kumar Gai was all over the 3 years his language teacher. And the third thing was he wanted to learn the culture. So of course he went also to the German clubs, played chess and piano, all this stuff, but he visited Japanese people. He sit on the ground, he drank, and he wanderte den Fujiyama mit ihnen. Also he tried to adapt to their life. I tried to make it very short. So how do I know this? Again, the question from yesterday. We have 1,400 pages of travelogues. And Eduard Ludwig and Helwine, our great-great-grandfathers, asked him to make a novelle. At this time there was no tourism, and he described the very, very, very first Globetrotters, and they were from the USA. So the word Globetrotter today is not very familiar anymore, but at this time, 1895, for him, Globetrotters were people from the US, very rich with big suitcases. The ladies had a lot of perfume and things. He described everything, yeah. But he wanted to be different, and he wanted to get in contact with the local culture. So he describes everything in travel letters, in sketches, and of course in der Schiffsbaugesellschaft, and with all his scientific research. By the way, the journey is something special, but he is in Wikipedia still. You can Google Ludwig Benjamin, you will find an entrance in Wikipedia. He was a famous shipbuilder with some inventions and also auch, wie sagt man das, wenn man was, Patentanmeldungen und also patents. And maybe this is the reason why he never changed his name to Bendorf. He died with Benjamin, but he survived the Shoah and the Holocaust. Next slide. Incredible that these letters survive. These letters were, this was a travel. He wrote private letters to his wife. I love you, I miss you, what are with the kids? He wrote letters to Blom and Voss. What is the progress of the work? I met the Ministry for Navy. And then he made the travel launch, the writings. And he sent them, he always said regards to 4 families in Palermo. So these letters, which are now bounded in this book, were sent to Tönning, from Tönning to Hamburg, from Hamburg to Palermo. So it was not copied, there was no copy device. So this letter, his wife gave it to the parents. The parents sent it to the 4 families here. And then Palermo sent it back to him, and they are still in the family. Yeah? So they gave it to my grandfather, then to my father, and 40 years ago, as a present for birthday, I bound it is for my father in, also ich habe das gebunden, I don't know the word. So there was a storm tide in Hamburg, flooding, there was Holocaust and destruction, but the letters survived. Yeah, next. And this was the private letters for his sons, because the sons were very small, and he even had contact to Walter, because he was born when he was already on the ship. So he made sketches for himself and said, "Hi boys, I'm your father." And he said, "I'm living on this boat, and when I'm back I will go to our house." This was their house, and I'm smoking pipes, eating on a table with this, and this is my sleeping bag. So this is one of the only private letters I have. So this, or we have, not I, but we have, and this is a very nice communication of the private letters. So then, 40 years, these letters were in our household by Klaus, Dieter, or I don't know, or by my mother, my father in Bavaria. And Carlo was, my father was the very first who translated, only one. When we moved to Singapore, he translated, transcribed 10 pages of Singapore for us, because we moved to Singapore for 3 years, and then this thing. And then I paid a translation company, but it was extremely expensive. 3 years ago, an artificial intelligence software called Transcriptus was on the market. And this software can read handwritten Sütterlin. And all the letters were in Sütterlin. So then I tried the software, and it's a learning software. So you get an output of 80% good quality, but 20% rubbish. So he the software does not know Singapore, so something else. So you have to yeah, genau. So and now these 3 books are there, and I'm also talking to Martha, Maria, Teresa, what can we do with these books, yeah? Because they are treasures, and I have 3 ones. Part 1 is Hamburg to Tokyo, part 2 is Japan and China, and part 3 is only my journey through Africa. What this was? America. Yeah, Canada and the US. So he was in Bend, and all these beautiful cities, the Vancouver, Bend, Glacier House, everything of these where we all of us maybe have been already. Yeah? Everything is described in this book. So that's already we had. He married late. And you see, he adapted very much to the Japanese culture.
Is it Yuriko?
No. And when Klaus and Dieter and I was young, there was still the Japanese shoes. Yeah, they are all gone. Yeah, but he brought part of these things with him. And then here you see an older, when he was already 75 or 80 years old, in Borkum on the island in north of Germany. with his wife Anna Andresen, and my grandmother Hilde, our father Karl Ludwig, and my grandfather Friedrich Albert Benjamin.
Our grandfather, yes.
Ja, das ist euer Großvater. Das ist Ruth and Lisa's grandfather. Our father. So next slide, please. So that is his self-painting, and so I always been interested in these diaries. What kind of man he was. So he liked piano, he liked books, he liked billiard, hiking tours, chess as well, and he speaks again like Hans and the others different languages. English, French, and Japanese, and he was not arrogant. But after 3 years, he said, "I can speak. I'm the only German in Japan who can speak Japanese." And he every progress. Today, I have written the first letter by myself, and so on. Next slide. Also das ist in Deutsch, I have to read it in Deutsch and then I translate it. Er schreibt wörtlich, es ist etwas Merkwürdiges, wie diese so schwer aussehenden Zeichen, so doch nach kurzer Zeit sich leicht in das Gedächtnis sich einbringen, sobald man systematisch beim Lernen vorgeht. So he decided to learn Japanese language in a different way. He decided to learn it as the kids learn in Japan. So Kumagai was a teacher for kids, and that's why he employed him. So his strategy was to learn like a kid, and he said it is strange that even after a short time, the Japanese letters or signs, he can remember them very easily, and so Ludwig studied language. He had a private teacher and was able to speak in writing. So, and then he was an engineer, of course. He had patents, and he worked on one only specific thing, and the thing is when ships were built, they have to be released in the water. And this is the most difficult part of the whole life. Because der Schwerpunkt ändert sich, also the center point is changing immediately. On the outside the water, this point is different than the ship is in the water. So, and he made a lot of speeches, even one, and it's I was in the Schiffbaugesellschaft where the German König or Vizekönig attended. Und dieses Vizekönig hat ihm gedankt für die anderen. Aber es war a kind of dispute always in these societies. So it's a very good communication style. Somebody makes a message and others say we have a different way of thinking. So it was always a kind of discussion. Yeah? So next. Bei Ludwig habe ich schon erzählt, time heals no wrong. He is now again member of this society, and this I put his journey in a timeline. For example, he was in he took the Canadian Pacific Railways 10 years after it runs the very first time. He was in Chicago and he drove through the Suez Canal, which was also very young. He was at the Weltausstellung Chicago 5 years after, and he wrote back to his wife, "I never saw such a cooling system. The first fridge, or was this fridge? Yeah. They don't have it in Hamburg, but there they have fridge in the hotels, and so he made a lot of things. Ab 1880, the first Globetrotters, Gründung von Blom and Voss was also 1877, so it was very young when he go there, and so on.
Had he 3 sons or?
He had 3 sons, and Max, which we saw on your slide, He was born in 95. That's why Professor Carsten Wendendorf is still on Earth, and he's 84 because his father was the youngest. Next one. So the order was try to sail warships. This is one of these warships.
How many did he sold?
Also acquisition of the highest level, Japanese language skills, and the first big ship from Blohm + Voss was the Kaiser Karl der Große ship. This was built in 1899, so he was already 2 years earlier in Japan, and he tried to sell products which wasn't invented. So it's always bad as a salesman if you have nothing to show, yeah? So if you don't have a bottle of Coca-Cola but tell your customers you will get a bottle with delicious drinks and the customer said, can I try? Not now, maybe next year. You must be a Tesla driver to accept this. But at this time I think his problem was that Japan at this time was in favor of England product, not German product, and he had nothing to show. Next slide, please. But he was proud. When he visited in Tokyo University, the people calculated the center points with his formula. Genau. So this was the tour I said already, from turning to Hamburg bis Hamburg, New York, Niagara Falls, Buffalo, Minneapolis, Chicago, Vancouver, Peking, Tianjin, Tokyo, Yokohama, Kobe, Shanghai, Hong Kong, Singapore, Penang, Port Said, Hamburg. Also lovely journey, yeah. Next.
And what did Anna do?
Anna looked for the kids. Next slide, you can go faster. So this is the Suez Canal. This ships was called steam ships, but they had not only steam engines but also sails. So it was a combination. Next slide, please. So he went from Hamburg, the channel between England and the continent. So he passed Finisterre in Portugal, then Gibraltar. He described when he passed Sicily, and he said he can't see Sicily because there were all his sisters were, but he described a different island which they passed, which is a little bit south of Sicily, a small island. So he then he went to the Suez Canal. There was the first stop. Then through the Suez Canal to Penang and Singapore, and then to Hong Kong, and the first job to try to make business in China, but China was not good at this time. It was underdeveloped, and so he decided to move after he rented a flat. But after 1 or 2 weeks, he sent a telegram or a brief to Blohm + Voss and said, I will move to Japan because it seems to be that there's better things. And Japan at this time, they conquered China, Taiwan, all the countries. They're dominant there. Yeah? So next slide, please. So, and then on the way back after 3 years, he went from Japan to China, and from China to Vancouver. So he changed the ship in Hong Kong, I think. So this is Kumagai, his language teacher. He was many times, and he had a guy who had contact to the highest level. I forgot the names, but actually in Japan, the population is divided in different classes, and there is a group of fighters. I don't know the name. This is one of the highest levels. Yeah, yeah. So they are not rich, but they are very well. So they try to. This was the second employee. He employed him to open the doors to the highest, so the Art, weiß auch nicht, so eine Verbindung gewesen. So next thing. This is a picture where the emperor's birthday was celebrated. Ludwig is here, you can't see. but of course he was also in the German and international American society there. There were always clubs, American clubs, German clubs at this time, so there was a lot of interaction. Das nochmal weg. So that would be a very good point to stop. So he stayed more than 650 days in a hotel. He was on 100 days on different steam ships. He had more than 400 invitations to dinner, tiffin or tea ceremonies. And then, that is my guess, he had played 150 games of billiard, 100 games of chess, 10 earthquakes. He described very precisely every earthquake in Tokyo, and 20 bottles of champagne. And he liked Heidsieck champagne. And when he made an expedition to the Chinese Wall, to the Great Wall in China, they opened on the Chinese Wall Heidsieck, a special market, yeah, and Apollinaris. And my house is just Luftlinie, maybe 10 kilometers from Apollinaris. And I said, that is wrong. The artificial intelligence make a joke, yeah, mineral water, and then they translate to Apollinaris. And then internet, I looked for Apollinaris. They were still on the market. The Queen of Table Water, it's called. The Queen of Table Water was on the market. Then I looked, and they exported water from the Ahr Valley, where we live, near Bonn, to the world. Yeah, also Apollinaris water, unbelievable. And they drank Apollinaris water and Heidsieck Cosmopolitan champagne or something in the thing. Yeah, and they said an endless journeys in rickshaws, 71 travelogues, and one lonely wife at home in Tönning with 3 children. Yeah. Next, you can skip this. So I end up now with Anna, and then we are over. So they married very old. Anna was already 36, he was 30. At this time, Tönning was sometimes Danish, sometimes German. So you will see also in these diaries that they have language training in Danish. So the language training is Danish, and our grandfather grew up in Tönning, that's in the north. In Husum hatte da ein Getreidehandel. Genau, I think. Go on. Yeah. So I think I end up here. It should give you only a smell of the journey. I can't do a whole presentation of 100. And so last thing, he was old as well. So he was the second last of the whole family. And Johanna died with 103, and Ludwig died with 106. And Ludwig, as a man, died with 90 years. And I think 90 years for a man is even today. I would like to become 90, but he was 90. And 2 weeks before the end of 2 weeks before he died, he wrote a letter to Johanna. Maria Theresa gave me the letter, a copy. Unbelievable. 2 weeks before his death, he sent a letter to Johanna, and he described the whole situation of the family in the Holocaust. So he said Clara went to Theresienstadt. His son Walter married immediately after the 1945 his wife, because before he was not allowed as a Jewish guy to marry a German thing. He described that his little grandchild Klaus was killed by a bomb, and he lies in the manufacturing side of these pencils beside his father, my grandfather. They saw each other, and he died because he was under the things, and they saw each other, but they can't get in contact. They was under this. My grandfather was rescued, and at this time he was not allowed to go to a German hospital. German medicines never ever would treat things. My grandmother Hilda, or our grandmother Hilde, she was not Jewish, and she should get divorced by law from him, but didn't. She brought him to a hospital. I don't know how they made it. And to his end of the year, he had Klaus irgendwas noch hier im Kopf und er humpelte. Ne? Und Patron irgendwas, he had some problems because the bombs and so. And he said, and this is my last sentence to this, Maria Teresa, there is one sentence in Germany very emotional. He said, Joanna, what happened to our great family? So he died 2 years ago, 2 weeks ago, and this letter is here in Palermo. And that ends our 2-day journey through, journey through the Benjamin family. And it's now the end, but Ines would like to say something, and it's now 2 o'clock. On the agenda is a walk through the Jewish quarter. I will postpone it to 4 o'clock, then I have a little time to relax, and it takes me an hour or half an hour to go there. So if nobody joins me, it's fine. I will be there to walk around what we did already, Margherita. We went, when we met on the Piazza Bellini. There I will be at 4 o'clock with my wife. We sit there, have a drink, listen maybe to Raquel Romeo, and then I stroll around the Jewish quarter, half an hour, and then go to the beach. So it's...
Piazza Bellini, 4 o'clock?
Yeah, but it's optional, it's nothing with this meeting.